Over 1 year ago, I quit my job as a pentester to live off bug bounty and creating content, even though before that I only had one bounty to my name, so by no means it was a safe bet. But I thought that I was finding bugs every single week during pentests, so I expected that in bug bounty I can also find that many bugs. I imagined that after 1 year I would have some 5-digit bounties to my name and maybe a 6-digit sum. Unfortunately, it's not how it went. But in this video, I'm showing you exact numbers of how much reports I submitted and how much money I made. Why? Why is the transparency so important to me? Because I know that a lot of you are just like me when I was first hearing about bug bounty, seeing a lot of bragging on Twitter, which most of the time we can't even verify, seeing many write-ups that seem simple, seem like nothing extraordinary, yet they are awarded thousands of dollars of bounties. This leads to unrealistic expectations, and I want to do my best to help as many of you out there as possible by simply being transparent myself, not only when it's time to celebrate. I started off by challenging myself to spend 100 hours on a public program on HackerOne. I chose Stripe. I didn't do any recon. My methodology was to understand how stuff works, and this led me to finding 2xSSs, an SSRF, an ALF bypass, or even being able to purchase my own BBR premium subscription at a lower price. I earned $7,200, which was a very good start. It wasn't a life-changing money, but to be honest, I didn't think this methodology would work at all, especially that this was just a public bug bounty program on the most popular platform out there. This just showed me that I can do bug bounty for a living, especially that it was the beginning and I only expected it to get better with the future projects. But from there, it went worse. The next challenge was Elastic Bug Bounty program, where I also wanted to spend 100 hours. However, I only found one bug, for which I got $584. 100 hours for me means a full month if I only did that. So this amount of money is less than I would earn by going to any job with a minimum wage. I did regret publicly obliging myself to spend that time because I didn't really enjoy it. It led to a lot of procrastination, but integrity has always been very important for me, so I did complete the 100 hours. This challenge made me question my methodology of not doing any recon. I also started hacking on some private programs that I knew nothing about and I didn't care about. I also started doing recon, even though I do not like doing recon, and most of the time, nothing of this worked. In that period, there was only one private program with an application that I use daily and I care about, and I really enjoyed hacking there. In 37 hours, I found 4 bugs and made $2,500, but most importantly, it was really good time for me. But after that, I struggled to find another one that I would really like. I'm not even going to count how many of them there were. And just like that, I realized that a year has passed by. I thought that after a year I would have much more confidence and much more bugs. But to be honest, it's not the return on investment that was my biggest problem. I saw that pretty much every program that I dedicated more time into, I was finding bugs. I mean, everyone apart from Elastic. But it was the time spent that was the biggest problem. Often, I was procrastinating when I was just trying to complete hours for the challenge. Or I just couldn't find a target that I would enjoy hacking daily and I would be motivated. Some of it is justified because I am not a full-time bug bounty hunter. The other half of my business also takes a lot of time, creating videos, writing the newsletter, but also BBR Premium. There, people pay me to learn web security, so it's a completely different thing. In this first year, I had to familiarize myself with things like marketing, creating a website, taking payments, and many more that you don't normally see. My plan was to spend roughly 50% of the time on bug bounty and 50% on the other stuff, but in reality, the balance was shifted much more towards the other stuff. But to be honest, the lack of time wasn't the issue here. I had the time, I just didn't use it to work. And I have a love-hate relationship with personal growth, but I consider myself an organized person, and I thought that even without having a boss, I will not have issues with time management. But the truth is that over the months, I got less and less disciplined and, simply said, lazy. I started spending less time working overall. And make no mistake, it was one of my goals when quitting my job. I was tired of working part-time and studying daily, then working full-time and creating content after hours, and there were huge positives in my life after quitting. I finally had the time to meet with my friends. I finally had the time to travel. I could spend more time on hobbies and sports. This year, I found my new passion of bouldering, which I absolutely love. I also got into the best shape of my life. All these things are awesome, and I'm so privileged to live a life like that. But I feel in the long term, it's the work that gives me the satisfaction. It's still something that I need to be happy. But this summer, I hit the low point of motivation. Some personal issues at the same time didn't help either. I realized that if I didn't improve, I would have to change something. Maybe even come back to employment. So things had to change. The initial surge of motivation came from outside. When I was in Budapest in the beginning of August, I texted David Schutz, the author of a few bugs covered on my channel and the first guest of my podcast. He's from Hungary, so I thought it would be cool to meet with him. I ended up staying in Budapest 2 more days and we rented an Airbnb to hack something together. We decided to hack Facebook and it was my first conventional collab. But to be honest, I didn't believe that we can find a bug in Facebook in 1 day. I was still happy to just hack with David, spend time with him and simply learn. But to my surprise, we did find a bug, for which Facebook later paid us $5,000. I was really happy about it, especially that Facebook is just one of these companies that you want to hack at some point of your career. And I came home motivated. I started to make some changes in my life to get my productivity back. I started with small and simple things like keeping my apartment clean. I think it's a really good way to create the discipline. I also decided to make bug bounty my priority over creating content, which of course resulted in fewer videos. I will probably never find the equilibrium, but I will always be looking for the balance. I also removed some apps from my phone to decrease my screen time. And I started to wake up at 5:30. I just love working in the morning and it also really helped. Most importantly, I stopped trying to hack the way I think other people hack, but I started focusing on what I like to do doing, which is getting deep into the application, preferably an open source target. I wanted to hack something that I use myself and I care about. I chose to do it. The app I use for checklists, even though their self-hosted bug bounty program only pays up to $1,000. After only 2 hours on the program, I found an OAuth account takeover, which further boosted my motivation. It was a really nice sequence because only 2 weeks before I created a video about an OAuth account takeover, and a week before I created an article in BBRA Premium about it, and then I found one myself. Later, turned out that the experience with this self-hosted program was absolutely horrendous. They took months to process the bug, and then they wanted to pay for it as a medium because it's a CSRF. I'm still arguing about it. But then I didn't know about it, and I was just motivated because of finding such a serious vulnerability. Then I continued to Stripe and I found a $2,000 bug. The write-up of this is already published on my channel. Next, I went to what I love the most, the open source target. I chose Discourse, and in a few days I found 3 bugs. One of them was a duplicate from about a year ago, the other one is still being triaged, but one is already fixed and I got $1,000 for it. Did I change anything significant in my methodology? No, I didn't. I still only wanted to understand the app using a burp, by reading the code, and by thinking about what can I mess up here and there. Those bugs weren't a result of a single magical tool or a single magical trick. It was a result of me continuously learning, evolving, making mistakes, and getting experienced. I describe things I learn in BBRA Premium. If you're interested in joining, on Black Friday there will be a promotion, one of very few I make. To not miss that, join my mailing list. But coming back to the methodology, I think this should be one of the most important takeaways from this video, to not try to force yourself into doing something you don't like, into using other people's methodologies. Bug bounty is not a pen test, you don't have to do everything. Here, we have a lot of freedom and you can choose your hacking style. You can adjust your hacking style to what you like to do and to what you're good at. Now, I'm telling you bounties for all these bugs, but of course, at that time, they took weeks or months to be processed, so I didn't know the responses straight away. When I was waiting for those decisions, I decided to switch things up. I think the period after reporting a series of bugs is the best time to try out something new and learn new stuff. Not the time when you're not finding bugs and you feel like you should have changed your methodology yesterday, but the time after you have some payouts coming, you know you did a good job, and then you can dedicate some time into learning something new. And even if it doesn't work, even if you don't monetize this period, nothing bad will happen. I decided that I will dedicate time to submit my first CodeQL query. It's something that I spoke about for a long time, and I covered it in multiple articles in BBRA newsletter. It's not like any other bug bounty program, and it's quite complex. So I thought it would take me a long time before I can finally submit a new query. But within 16 hours, I found a CVE that wasn't detected by CodeQL scanner. So I made an improvement to the code so similar bugs are not missed in the future. My pull request was accepted, so my code is already running in CodeQL. However, I am still waiting for CVE numbers, which I need to be eligible for a bounty. But most importantly, I'm really happy to check this off my list. I know I'm speaking about a lot of bugs that are not disclosed here, so let me know in the comment section down below which bugs should I cover first, which ones are you most interested in. After CodeQL, I came back to more regular hunting and I chose Google, another company that I wanted to hack for a long time. I got really lucky because in 2 hours I found a bug for which Google later paid me $3,000. Later, I found another one in the same asset and very similar bug, but more impactful. It's still triaged, and I don't know how it will go, but to be honest, I expect it to be my highest bounty. The sum of bounties for this period is $19,500, with potentially pending payouts from Todoist, CodeQL, and Google. The time I logged for those bugs is 441 hours. To be honest, I think I could make more by being employed or by focusing on freelance pen tests, which I may actually do in Q4 when everyone is busy. But it's not how I look at it. I know that 1 year ago odds weren't on my side, and now I see that I am improving and I am finding bugs whenever I put the time in. I am better than I was 1 year ago, and this is the checkmark for me, and not my Twitter feed. I know that when people make earning bounties look easy, probably they just spent a lot of time working hard before. I'm just happy I can continue living my life this way, being my own boss and creating my own rules. I won't buy a home but I have to rent one, or I won't buy a sports car, but if these are my biggest life problems at 24, then I take it. Next year I'm going to try the digital nomad lifestyle, so maybe I won't need these things anyway. So whatever you want to achieve in life, be disciplined. Putting in the time consistently is the most important thing. Don't be afraid to fail. Don't compare yourself to others. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. And these things will give you the courage to make the risky decision and then make it work.